So welcome to my tutorial. I'm building the German half-track, the 2511. I've kept the bits separate. There's lots of accessories to put on. The figures I've mounted on a cork and a screw with a bit of super glue. And I use skewers for mounting the wheels and making it easier to paint. I use VMS primer. I find it really good, water-based. So I'll paint the parts individually and then I'll assemble them at the end. So there's them all finally done. Next is to pre-shade. Any sort of black will sort of do. I use NATO black. And the idea is you go around the panels or edges and the paint, the base paint will sort of contrast between light and dark to give you a bit of a 3D effect for your model. I'm quite a fan of this approach to painting, and I quite like the pre-shade and the marbling or highlighting to do the heavy lifting when it comes to the effect, the paint effect. Sometimes the effect's lost through the many layers of weathering, but I always feel it's an important part, and it's very rare that I won't do pre-shading. So I like the effect around the doors internally, and also sort of almost stain marks as it goes down the side of the build. Next, I'm going to do a little bit of, I call it highlighting, but it's a bit like marbling. A lot of these effects I use on aircraft as well, so you can sort of cross over with the techniques. I do find that mixing outside the hopper of the airbrush really improves the coverage. I think I'm not very good at sort of doing the mix ratios, putting straight into the hopper, but I find this method quite good. I just really use cheap airbrushes. I don't really spend much. And you can see I've got it on quite a low PSI, and I'm able to do quite a lot of mottling sort of effect. So again, we'll have the grey, we'll have the black pre-shade, and we'll have this mottling effect, which will all add to the contrast. The wheels I've kept on the sprues, just easier to paint them. Now it's the base yellow XF88. This is going to be really thin, so it's going to be something like 70%, could be even 80%. I really want to make sure that it's a very thin coat and everything just comes through. You can see there's kind of thinner I'm sort of using there. So again, I'm mixing it in the dish outside of the hopper, which I really feel it's really improved my airbrush skills. I mean, this is a really cheap airbrush, and I'm sort of demonstrating the sort of line that you can sort of get with that. I just use a circle template from when I was in the drawing office, just to easily paint stuff and to keep the edges of the rubber black. And these are some examples of the wheels, and this is how I've speeded it up a little bit, but I go over the marbling first just to get a feel for what's paint like, how's it reacting, and then I start to go over all of it, including the pre-shade, and you can start to see that I'm getting an effect. So you're sort of looking at it from a sort of artistic point of view of the kind of effect that you want. You just take your time, don't overdo it. In the past I've put too many coats on. If you think you're getting close, then just stop and just leave it for a little bit, and then have another look at what you're doing. And you can build it up very slowly, as you can see, and you see we can see the stain marks from the inside as well. I mean, you can do it with oil paint, as I'll show you later in the next video. And it's quite a nice effect for the amount of effort that you're sort of putting in. I always seem to do a red primer wheel, which is what I'm doing here, just to sort of contrast. If you really like what I'm doing and what I'm saying, like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. So next is the green camo, the green lines. Struggled a bit with the paint with this one. Again, I'll say the same approach. In my mixing dish, I'm putting in first the paint, and then I can get a sort of feel for the amount of thinner, the acrylic thinner I'm going to be pouring in. So I'm showing the lines, and it looks okay on paper. It looked like it was okay, but I did have a few problems when I started to try and put it down onto the model, and I had a few problems as well trying to film it. As you can sort of see, the hopper keeps getting in the way, and I'm following the instructions, the Tamiya instructions, as much as I sort of can. But overall, it's come out as a nice effect. It doesn't look quite right, obviously, because we haven't done the brown as yet. So next was the brown, XF64, the red brown from Tamiya. A better camera angle. Again, following the instructions, I've mixed it exactly the same. And just trying to take my time, do it in small sort of sections. Sometimes the lines are above the green, sometimes they go behind the green. And you start to sort of see it coming together, and it makes more sense. It looks more of a complete sort of paint job, and looks a bit more in keeping and pleasing. So this is when I've actually finished. Don't forget the cover for the guard for the machine gun from the front. Things like that are easily forgot. And again, just subscribe, like my channel if you can. Now I've called them benches, but they're the seats inside. I wasn't really sure if there was cushions, or I saw a lot of photographs where people have built them. They're like pine sort of benches, so I quite like that effect, so I thought I'd start doing that. And then I'm starting to paint all the little bits, doing the Panzer Shrek here, trying to pick different tones of yellow to sort of contrast, otherwise it's going to look quite boring, just to get that kind of feel. And these are the sort of, I think they're sort of cushion covers, head covers. I was quite pleased with the way this came out. Again, you don't just have to do it all one colour, you can sort of use the pre-shading to come up with a nice effect. And then I obviously turn to the brush, and you start to doing the fine sort of details here. It's just a dark, I think it was a Vallejo paint, to the little details. My eyes aren't the best, so things often get missed, and you have to sort of try and cover it up with enamel washes at the end. Now I'm starting to assemble some of it, so the wheels are starting to go on. There's that red primer wheel, and then once that's all in place, I need to put a gloss coat, and I'm using AK at the moment. You can see that they're all separate still, so I'll weather them separately as well. And what this does, it's quite a tough coat. It protects the paint, but it also allows the enamel washes to flow really well, and again do some of the work for you. All the small bits like the Panzer shrek, because everything will need a little bit of a panel wash on it. And then it's decals. So I use Microsol and Microset. Again, with having the gloss coat on, that protects the paintwork from these sorts of chemicals. So I put the decal on and then get it into the required position, and then get the bubbles out, and then just let it dry naturally. These aren't too bad because there isn't really any sort of ridges or recesses that they need to go over, that you need to work hard to manipulate them. They're pretty flat surfaces. Not many in the kit, luckily, because it's not my favourite thing to do. They look bright spanking new, but we'll sort that out. And then it's tracks. Now, I didn't really undercoat these, maybe I should have done, but I'm just giving them a coat of red-brown as a base coat for when I start to do the weathering in the next video. So if you can join me in part 2, this video will involve the weathering of all the bits and pieces, including the benches. A lot of oil paints. First time for a long time. Some rust pigments on the tracks, some VMS pigments on the wheels and on the tracks, using some vegetation, and assembling everything for the final sort of build. Thanks for watching.